I came back from that and people were like, "You're gay and Gothic and you're a Christian now?"
Hello, my name is Kay Anderson, and you are listening to Lost Spaces, the podcast that mourns the death of queer nightlife. Here is how it goes. Every episode, I talk to a different person about a venue from their past, the memories that they created there, and the people that they used to know. Did you know that in all of the years that we've been doing this show, we have never ever featured a sauna? And some people might say that that's because no one in their right mind would come on to a podcast to share their story with the world about how they got a bit hot and sweaty and debaucherous with a bunch of strangers in a dark, cavernous space. But I don't know, maybe there's another reason. Anyway, put that all to one side because this week we are finally going to our very first sauna when we visit ACI, which was in San Antonio, Texas. And showing us around is the subversive queer rapper Chris Conde. Now, Chris was a military brat, and so they moved around a lot when they were a kid. But as a young adult, they decided that they wanted a bit more stability in their life, and so they chose to settle down in San Antonio. And it was here that they got to experience all the joys of a glory hole, as well as let go of religion, get sober, and come out of the closet again. And I say again because they'd already been out of the closet and then chose to go back in. But it's a whole story. You'll need to listen to the show to find out. Oh, and very, very quickly, there is a bit of a trigger warning for this episode. We talk briefly about halfway through the chat about sexual abuse and suicide. And so if that is going to be triggering for you, I totally understand if you want to put this episode down and come back next week. But for everyone else, let's get into it.
I was still struggling with so much internalized homophobia, and I was afraid of gay people. I was afraid of queer people because I didn't know how to resolve it within myself. I had these feelings, but I didn't know how to, I guess, look at them, or how to, I don't know. Like, I was told my entire life that there was something wrong with me for being gay. And having so much religious trauma and then getting sober, it was just like it was a really confusing time in my life. And eventually, I'd say like a year after I moved there, I ended up drinking again. And
Okay.
I relapsed. And this is where I felt comfortable going to queer spaces, or like more comfortable at least, because I was able to be drunk enough and not care enough, I guess, in a way, or be high enough to not care about the consequences of like jumping on Craigslist and like having anonymous sex with whoever,
Wait, how did we get there that quickly?
I don't know.
So you went from like self-hatred and hating gays to cooking up with strangers on the internet. What happened in between?
Me relapsing and me being on drugs and me like not caring about.
Okay, so there still was not any self-acceptance in that.
Right. I think I thought I was okay, but I wasn't.
Okay.
A lot of my drinking and using, I think, was perpetuated by this internalized homophobia. But
it also propelled you to seek out those things that you wanted.
Yeah, because I was gay and horny, and so like I wanted.
Well, yeah, you were 21.
I was like I wanted to act on these things, but didn't know how to sober, for sure.
And so then looking back on those memories, are they all tainted is a bit of a shitty word. I can't think of another one, so I'm going to use it. Are they all tainted by the fact that you'd relapsed to be there?
I don't think so. I mean, I look at my life as I made the best decisions that I could with what I had.
Mhm.
I don't really regret too many things because there's nothing I can really do about that. And I think that, most of us are doing the best we can with what we have anyway. And so I think looking at my own life in that time, I was dealing with so much bullshit. It's like I was trying. I was trying to live my life to the best like I could, and for the majority of my life it wasn't the drinking did consume a lot, but I was still experiencing life. I was playing shows, I was writing music, and it hadn't gotten too crazy yet. Like I wasn't like homeless and doing meth yet.
Oh,
you know.
yet.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe we'll get to that. But do you then remember the first time that you went to a queer space?
Yeah, I was 14
Oh, how would
actually. It was way sooner than that.
so many layers on this. Okay, so at 21 you hadn't accepted yourself, but at 14 you were back in a queer bar.
I think this is before I had any like religious trauma. I didn't grow up with religion, but so I went on this retreat, this like Christian retreat when I was like 15 or 16, and I had this spiritual experience in the context of this Christian
Hmm.
religion and was like, "Oh, this must be Jesus that I'm experiencing." And so I was like, "I guess I'm going to try and follow this religion." And like I look back at this experience that I had as like a valid experience, a
Yeah.
spiritual experience, but I no longer look at it as like, "Oh, this was a Christian thing or this was like Christianity."
Okay, yeah.
This was just like a moment I had, which was great. But so before any of this, though,
You were a heathen.
yeah, I mean, I came out when I was 13 years old.
Which, okay. Wait, remember before when I asked about your queer journey, you were like, "Oh yeah, I was
Uh-huh.
still like really trepidatious." Like, no, you'd come out.
But you were asking specific questions. You're asking questions about me moving to Texas, I think. So I was like, yeah, okay. So I came out when I was 13, and my mom was like, "You should really think about this. Like, I don't think you're gay." And I was like, "Pretty sure I am." And then I was living in Turkey at the time. And then I moved to Japan and started dating a guy in high school. He was a senior and I was a sophomore, so he was 2 grades
What's
older.
his name?
And his name was Randy.
Oh, I thought it was going to be someone Japanese. Like, oh, Randy.
Oh, no, 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 he wasn't. I went to like an international, like an American
Okay,
school, like
okay.
overseas. Yeah, Randy. Yeah, he listened to like Marilyn Manson and had baggy
Ah,
jeans and that was like
baggy
enough for me.
jeans. Yeah, well, I can see why.
I was
Yeah.
like, sure. But I came home with a hickey on my neck and my parents were like, okay, so I had come out to my mom who I wasn't living with,
Uh-huh.
right? I was living with my dad and my stepmom. And I'd come out to my mom over the phone. So when I came home with a hickey on my neck, my dad noticed it and my stepmom noticed it. And they're like, "Is that a hickey?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, and I was like, "No." At first I said no. They're like, "Well, what happened?" I'm like, "I fell skateboarding." And they're like, "You fell on your neck?" Then my stepmom said something like, "Oh, that's too big of a hickey for it to come from a girl." And I think she was just trying to out me. I'm like, as if like a girl couldn't put a big hickey on me or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So my stepmom outs me and then tells me that that I needed to break up with my boyfriend because it looked bad on them.
Not Randy.
My dad and my stepmom were like, "You need to break up with your boyfriend because it makes us look bad as parents if we let you have like this homosexual relationship." Because super weird.
Ah,
Pretty cool.
making it about them. Brilliant.
So I tell Randy, and he's like, "We can just date, not tell them." I'm like, "Yeah, probably." But then Randy started becoming annoying, and so I broke up with him. Oh, yeah. So
Okay, and so then when was the religious experience? Was that back in America or?
no, this was still in Japan. So this was like in the fall of like 2001. And then that next year, in the spring is when I had this religious experience.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so like I came back from that and people were like, you're gay and Gothic and you're a Christian now. And so what happened to me was I thought, oh, I'm not allowed to be gay anymore because I'm a Christian now. So it was around this time where I was like, okay, I have to like be a good Christian boy and not act on these homosexual tendencies.
And so then did you like officially go back into the closet? Like, how does that
Kinda.
work?
Yeah,
Okay.
basically. And I had friends that were very confused by this. And I kind of was confused too, but
But did you have like a going back into the closet party or something? Like, how do you do it?
yeah,
Do you
you
send
know,
cards?
your friends beat you up like a piñata. And no, I don't know. I mean,
What's the straight equivalent of candy coming out of a pinata?
I'm not sure.
What's something really boring and straight?
Maybe like a gender reveal party.
Oh, so miserable.
It's so
Okay.
miserable.
Okay, so you had that party then, and you were like, hey, everyone, by the way, I'm heterosexual.
Yeah, by the way, no, it wasn't even like I'm heterosexual. It was like I struggle with homosexuality and I'm going to be a good Christian and deny myself.
Oh, wow.
Such a martyr.
Did you buy a clip on tie?
No, I still dress kind of Gothic and like wore combat boots and like fishnet and things, but I just was a Christian.
So, okay, so this retreat thing, was it a retreat? Like where you found
Yeah,
Jesus?
yeah.
Sorry, I'm not trying to
No, it's okay.
talk down about the experience.
Mm-mm.
You found him, you came home, you were like, yeah, okay, well, I guess I'm a Christian now.
Mm.
Did you then like go online to find a church, or like what were the next steps?
So I went on this retreat and it was with this youth group. And so the youth group was based in Okinawa where I lived. And so I just kept going to this youth group, basically.
Okay. And were you like properly like, right, I'm in, I'm gonna do everything I can to be a good Christian?
Yeah, like I like carried a Bible in my back pocket and would like tell people about Jesus.
What's your favorite passage?
Um
I'm not gonna know what it is. I don't know why I asked that,
Leviticus
sorry.
4:17 and no man should I mean I don't know. I mean, I think probably if I like legitimately I'd say like Ephesians 4:32 is basically like just be kind to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another. So it's basically just like be nice to people. That's
Oh,
it.
so that's the one that Christians often forget, right?
Yeah, they don't use that. I believe that it's not there. They're trying to get it taken out. Yeah, there's like been some voting around it.
Yeah. I mean, this woke brigade trying to keep the Bible as the Bible. It's silly. Okay. So you were in the religion for a few years. What was the moment where you were like, oh, yeah, do you know what? Maybe this isn't for me?
So I'd moved back to the States and got involved in this church. And I just kind of started seeing this pastor as a terrible person. And I was like, this feels very culty. And I was like,
I wonder why.
And at the same time, I was also exhibiting, like a lot of my alcoholism was starting to manifest. And I was, starting to drink a lot. And I would tell my pastor after I got drunk or got high, and I was in all these like leadership positions and I was trying to step down from things, but I didn't really know how. And so I thought like me just acting out would kind of do that for me.
Mhm.
And so like I'd get cruised at like porn shops or just like walking down the street and then be like, oh no, this stranger sucked my dick. And I'd call my pastor and be like, oh no, this happened, you know.
Huh? What? Is this like when you fell off your skateboard and got a hickey?
Yeah. Honestly, I would get cruised. I would just be walking down the street and like somebody would like, yeah. I mean, I participated, obviously, but I remember like I was walking to work one day. I used to work at this coffee shop, and this car like drove around this like little roundabout, and I saw him, and I thought he like blew a kiss at me or something, and I was like, it was like 7 o'clock in the morning.
This is not how someone cruises.
Oh, I know,
I don't know
but
what it's like.
Cruising 101, blow a kiss. But he like drove around again and I was like, hey, and he's like, hey, and I'm like, can you give me a ride? And he's like, yeah. And I got in his car. But anyways,
What? And this just used to happen to you all the time?
yeah.
I need to go to San Antonio.
Yeah. So
Well, and so then you told the pastor.
he's like, yeah, that's not good. But then it was a mix of things that basically he was like, he thought that I was exhibiting signs of like alcoholism and like addictive behavior, and like
Okay.
dangerous behavior. It wasn't necessarily like sleeping with dudes. It was like, it was more about the drinking and smoking weed a lot kind of thing. So I started going to 12-step meetings. And as I was doing that, I was realizing that the church that I was going to was a cult and I needed to get out. So I remember leaving this church and I got an email from the pastor that was like, if you leave this church, you're going to get AIDS and die, And I was like, cool.
Oh,
So,
lead with love.
yeah. So it was just affirming that I did not need to be at this place anymore and I needed to be in recovery. So I kind of like threw myself into 12 steps and got a new community and came out again, which was a hard experience, and let myself be okay with being gay. So I'm dealing with all this religious trauma and all this shit and like this pent up homophobia and internalized,
And so at the top of the conversation, you said that when you were 21 and you'd shown up in San Antonio, you had that ingrained homophobia, internalized homophobia, blah, 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 the list goes on. But when you were 13, you didn't have that, or you did have that?
I think I had some of it, but I think I don't know. I was more
Also 13 and not going to be told what you were going to do by any adult or anyone around you.
and also my older sister, my half sister, had come out and she was a lesbian. And
Okay.
so I had support in that way from her. Like, I mean, do you remember like the e-cards so I got an e-card from my sister and her then girlfriend, who's now her wife, I think. I don't think they're legally married, but anyway, their partner. And it was like, congratulations on coming out, blah, blah, blah. It was really sweet and it meant a lot. But
So how did she then process it when you went back into the closet?
she was like, what the fuck are you doing? I think I even gave her a pamphlet on how homosexuality was wrong.
So it wasn't an e-card.
No. No, it was
Sorry,
not.
I'm sorry, I'm making light of this. Dude,
No,
okay.
I love it actually. I mean, like this is like 20 years ago, and like
Yeah.
I've processed so much since then, and I love who I am today. So it's like I can look back and I think if we can't laugh, then what are we doing, So, but I appreciate you being courteous.
But okay, so sorry, I'm jumping around. So the 13-year-old, you came out, but then you went back in the closet, and then when you came out again at the other end of that religious experience, you were like, ooh, and the internalized homophobia was higher than when you were just
Yeah.
left to your own devices.
Right. Yes.
Ah,
Part of this was because too I had survived a sexual assault since then, or like after I'd come out. I
oh,
had gotten raped and didn't tell anybody, and so I've since seen, I've gone to therapy for a lot of this already, and I'm great. I'm great, guys. But I I had so much depression and trauma related depression, and I didn't know how to process it, and it was around this time that I'd gotten on this retreat. I had a lot of suicidal ideation. I was actually planning on killing myself. And so went to this retreat at a time where I was really needing to experience something, and I did.
yeah.
So since I felt like that experience did essentially save my life. So there was a lot of fear around, if I don't believe in Jesus and I don't do this, then what am I doing? And so coming out, walking away from this religion and this theology and these ideas was a very big deal for me. And so there was a lot of fear around it because I had no foundation anymore. So I'm like, and is the 12 steps going to provide that space for me? And so I was trying to navigate my life, in a way that I hadn't ever before. And then moving to a new place, it was a very precarious moment in my life. So it was interesting trying to like figure that out again. But yeah, so coming out again, I didn't realize what I was doing at the time, but I had begun to deconstruct, which is actually like what they're calling it now because so many people have like religious trauma, you know.
What is the process of deconstruction?
I think it's different for a lot of people, but I think the initial step is realizing that what you believe possibly is not true, you know.
That's the first step? That's a big step.
But there's no action in that. It's not like you leave the
but-
church. It's like, hey, you could be sitting in church and being like, I don't necessarily believe this. Or, you know what? Maybe the things that I've been taught my whole life or however long are not real. Maybe I actually am allowed to be gay. You know what I mean? Like it's these thinkings, it's these thoughts that enter our minds that are contrary to the belief systems that we've been conditioned with.
Yeah, okay. So if we go back and then back and then back and then back a few steps in the conversation, we were talking about you going to queer bars in San Antonio when you first got there. Do you remember?
But the first queer bar I went to, I was 14 and I got a fake ID
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that, yes.
from my other sister's husband, who was a state trooper at the time.
And he was just like, here you go, have a fake
yeah,
ID.
I got like a fake ID.
You want to be gay, do crimes, off you go.
Yeah. It wasn't a fake ID. It was like a confiscated ID thing he had. And they found one that looked like tried to look like me. So I memorized
Was it Randy's?
It wasn't Randy's. We didn't look the same. So we went and it was like the first time I saw like go-go dancers, and me and my sister, we like danced, and there wasn't a lot of people in the bar. I think it was like a Monday or Tuesday night or something. And
Wait, and so where was this? In Japan?
this is in San Antonio.
In San Antonio, okay.
Because remember, I would visit my dad in the summer times growing up.
Okay,
And so,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, so that was the first time. The first time after you'd moved back when you were 21.
And so moving back, I think I was afraid of going to queer spaces. And so I was like just starting to get into, yeah, I actually didn't even really like, I would hang out in straight bars and I was like working in straight bars. I still had so much bullshit, I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable around the community until ACI, which is this bathhouse. And so about 2 or 3 years into my relapse, I started working at this cocktail bar, and down the street I found out was this bathhouse called ACI. And
So when you
would
found out about it, did you know what a bathhouse was?
I didn't really. I think I kind of knew, but I didn't really know what it was. And then I got really drunk one night and I like just wandered in there and I was like, what is this? And they're like, it's a bathhouse. And I'm like, cool.
That doesn't really answer any questions, does it?
I mean, there were going to be like people fuck back here, like, and so I think there was like a membership fee, which was like $15 for the year. Then it was like $10 for a locker, and then like $25 for a room. And so I never had room money, and so I'd put my stuff in my locker and then grab my towel and walk around and see what was up.
And so this first time, right, let's see if we can remember details. You don't remember anything.
I mean, I was drunk.
But do you remember a feeling?
Yeah, I remember walking around. I remember the maze of glory holes.
Oh, was this baby's first glory hole?
I think so, possibly. I don't know. I was doing a lot of drugs and drinking at the time, so I've probably gone to one before, but I don't think so. But I don't know. Could have been. But I do remember a feeling of like, this is awesome. Like, I want to come here more. maybe I felt a little bit of relief too, where I'm like, oh,
Uh-huh.
okay, I can just be like a slut here because this is what we're here for, you know. But I don't think there was any, I don't think there was like any coming of it. I mean, maybe there was a little bit of a coming of age moment, but I don't think it was like, I wasn't like, I have arrived and I know who I am. It was just like, I'm gay and we're gonna fuck. Here we go, you know.
So tell me about this maze. How many glory holes?
I mean, I don't know. Like, it wasn't that big, but it was enough to get lost in for like a minute or two. It wasn't big, but it was like, you know, corners turned into like spaces, and it's like, it wasn't that big, but it was enough that when you're drunk, it could be very disorienting. I'd also go there like on mushrooms and
Oh.
like tripping and like doing all kinds of, I mean, I pretty much did every drug there except heroin. But like,
And so when you're drunk, are you braver?
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And I think that's what it was. You know, that was the,
But so are you braver in the sense of approaching people?
yeah, for sure.
So what's your tactic then when you're in a sauna?
You kind of just cruise. You're like, hey, or you like lock eyes with someone and then it's like, sup? Hey, what's up? Cool. Like,
Oh, you actually talk to them.
yeah, sometimes.
Oh.
Yeah, because I'd be like, what do you want to do? And it's like,
You wouldn't just let your body do the talking.
well, especially if you're going to like top or bottom or do something, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Sometimes it's nice just to be surprised, isn't it? I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure there were moments where like I'm just like ending up inside somebody. But I think if I was bottoming, I would need to know because I'm a verse
Well,
top.
yeah, you don't want to be
You know.
surprised about that, yeah.
So in that, you know, but I wasn't, I'm like,
But so in all of these situations, are you the instigator or are you the...
usually I am. Because I've been heavily tattooed for a long time. Like I've had 2 full sleeves and like my hands tattooed, and I've had gauged ears and like piercings. And so I think sometimes people are intimidated by that, especially back then.
Mhm.
And so I would just be like, hey, what's up? And even today, I still do that.
Ah, okay, to break the ice a bit.
Yeah, you know, in a lot of spaces, I think people can be intimidated by the way that I look and present myself. But I think in especially like sexual spaces and contexts like that, I think everyone can feel a level of like, you know, being nervous
Yeah, of
and
course.
self-aware. So I'm aware of that with myself and with people and how they see me sometimes. So I'm like, I think you're hot. Hello. And I'm just generally more forthright with what I'm looking for.
Ah, okay. Oh, well, I was going to suggest we do some role play, but you've just told me what you would do, so
I mean,
there's that.
we could still role play if you'd like.
All right, so I've got my arms folded and I've got the towel around my waist and I'm standing against the wall and I'm looking somewhat terrified, right? Go.
So I'll probably come up to your side and approach to you and like mimic your body language a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And then like come to your side and be like, hey, what's up? Like, how's it going? You know?
And I'd be like, is he taking the piss out of me because he's folding his arms like I am?
I don't know if I'd fold my arms like you, but I would like try and match your energy so that you felt more comfortable.
And okay, and then so I loosen up a bit and I'm like, oh, it's my first time here. I'm just visiting from out of town. I'm at a conference for staplers
Cool.
and photocopiers. And this is my night off.
Awesome. Cool. You been having a good time?
No.
All right. Well, you want to change that?
Oh, you're better at this than me.
I mean, that's what I would do. I mean, like, if I'm approaching you, then I'm like, let's go.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you never just talk to someone?
It depends. I'm there to like have sex.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's
it's
a good
like
point.
very minimal sentences before I'm
Yeah.
having sex with you, you know? But I'm also going to be nice, you know? And it depends. Like, if I'm going to like an orgy, it's different. Like, I'm there to like fuck. But if I'm going to a party with like sex involved, then it's like I can have conversations and be a little bit more, you know.
Wait, so what's the difference between an orgy and a party where sex is involved?
You know, there's a sex party I go to here called Inferno that's like, it's like more social, you know? And not like orgies can't be social, but I feel like it's more, I don't know, there's like less space to walk around because you're in someone's house. And then like a sex party, it's like usually a space, you know, with multiple places to go. So like this particular
Okay.
space that I, you know, does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're saying at an orgy, you'd be wasting space if you were talking to someone.
No, it's not like you can't talk either though. But yeah, I mean like there's like DJs and shit at this like sex party that I go to.
Okay, so it's more like being in a club.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
Just like with like slings and people fucking around, you know?
Yeah, so just a club.
Basically, yeah. Yeah.
What were we talking about? Oh, sauna, blah, blah, blah. Oh, one of the other things I wanted to ask you about, as someone who's heavily tattooed, how annoying is it when you're in a sauna and someone's like, oh, what are your tattoos? Tell me about them.
Yeah, it's very annoying. That's
Oh, okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, it's very.
unless I think you're really hot. But even then,
But
it's
even
like
then, like, just don't ask me about this stuff because it's too personal and it's going to like too much detail. It's just not. It's not right.
And a lot of my tattoos don't mean anything. I just like the way it looks. It's like my tattoos sometimes mean as much as that blue and white shirt you have.
Oh, this means a lot. This was my great granddad's.
I can tell. It's decorations for me, but they're just on me permanently, and it just looks fun.
What kind of response do you get from people when you tell them that?
I usually kind of like change the conversation. I'll steer it a different way.
That's a good plan.
You know, if someone asks me like, oh, what do they all mean? I'm like, oh, they mean all kinds of crazy stuff. How are you doing tonight? Like, what are you up to? Where are you from? You know, like
So smooth. Oh,
just redirect. Just redirect. That's been my super move my entire life. Just redirect.
yeah, everyone loves talking about themselves. That's what I found. Really easy to
Yes.
just change the subject back to them.
Yeah.
So speaking of, you in ACI. So we talked about how it felt on that night when you were there. How did it feel waking up the next day?
I mean, honestly, I don't know if I remember waking up the next day. ACI is like a series of blurry memories because I still was just drinking and using so much. And so I just know that I wanted to be there. That's where I knew that I could be my sexual self and do whatever I wanted and have as much sex as I wanted as well. But I don't remember necessarily the feelings I felt the next day. I just was stoked that I had sex, you know, like that's it.
So did it help you come to terms with your sexuality?
I think in some ways it did, you know, I think it was letting me experience some authenticity for the first time. And I was like, yeah, like this is what I want. This is what I want more of. But, you know, it was almost perpetuating this idea that it's like gay sex should be only experienced in like these dark corners, you know? So in a way I think it was doing a lot of different things to me, but it was like the easiest accessible space for me to like go and have sex. But like, what's weird though is when it got torn down, this is many years later, and I was working as a journalist a block away. I remember driving by and I knew that it was getting shut down, but I saw one of the pieces of the maze sticking out of this dumpster.
Aww.
And I was like, huh, wow. And I had a moment where I was like, wow, like this is a place where I was starting to experience being okay with myself or letting myself be myself, you know, or letting myself like have gay sex. And but yeah, I remember just thinking like this is like that was important. It's significant enough for me to say this even just right now. You know, it's a memory that stands out.
But wait. So you didn't steal the glory hole?
I should have grabbed it.
Wait, so you just saw it sticking it out of a bin and you were like, oh yeah, memories. Oh well, off I go.
I mean, yeah, I was driving. I didn't want to stop. What was I going to do? Go in there and wait for someone?
Think about the feature wall you could have in your house.
I know. I mean, I live in New York City. There's like a glory hole on every corner, so
Yeah, but it's not imbued with memories.
it's not your glory hole. It's not held together with the cum of years past.
Yes. Oh. So then, if you had an opportunity to talk to that 21, 22-year-old that was showing up at ACI that night and was like, I'm going to go in, would you give him any advice?
Yeah. Maybe. Like, if I saw him in the bathhouse? Or
Wait,
like...
no, it's outside. Let's keep our clothes on, PG.
I would tell them just that they're going to be all right. I don't know. I don't know what kind of advice I would give.
Okay, and then so how would the advice change then if you did meet him in the sauna and you were both naked?
I might say something similar. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to think about like what kind of advice I would give myself at that age because God, I mean, 21 and I'm 36 now, so I don't know what kind of advice I would give, but I look back and I feel grateful for like who I am today and how long and how far I've come because I wasn't a happy person back then. I was trying to figure it out, but I was going through so much and like grasping at these moments of connection and stumbling and essentially just like yearning to be okay with myself. And I'm up in a place in my life where I'm very comfortable with myself and very comfortable in my own skin. And it's been a long, long journey. So yeah, the only kind of advice I would just be like, don't kill yourself. Don't do meth. Shit's going to work out. 'Cause it did. Like, life is pretty lovely. Like, I don't get everything I want all the time and life doesn't always go my way. But for the most part, like, I get to experience a lot of really cool shit, and have really cool connections with people and see amazing things and experience these adventures, Like, I just got back from this tour in Europe that took me to a lot of places, including some saunas and a gay cruising cinema in fucking Vienna, which was really strange. But yeah, I think ACI was a place where I was able to step into starting to feel comfortable with myself or allowing myself to express this part of myself that I had denied for so long. Mm-hmm. And it facilitated these opportunities for me to do that. And eventually it led me to a place where I was able to feel comfortable doing, not needing a sauna, not needing a bathhouse to be able to just be my authentic self in whatever space I'm occupying. So now I just have sex on the street like a normal person.
I'm having sex right now.
I mean, you can't see it, but it's happening. All right, yeah, cool. Just leave the cash on the counter. Perfect.
Where's that wet wipe? Do you have any memories of ACI? Or maybe you've got some stories from a sauna or a sex club in your own area that you want to share. Well, if you do, why not get in touch? I want to create the biggest online record of people's memories and stories of queer clubbing, but I need your help. Go to lostspacespodcast.com, find the section Share a Lost Space, and then give me the details. Tell me what you got up to. You can also reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, where my handle across all three is Lost Spaces Pod. Find out more about Chris by going and streaming their music now wherever you listen to music, or give them a little follow on Instagram or Facebook where their profile is Chris Conde the Rapper, or on Twitter where it is just Chris Conde. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate if you took the time to subscribe so you can get notified when there are new episodes. Leave a review on your podcast platform or just tell other people who you think might be interested in giving it a wee listen too. My name is Kay Anderson, and you have been listening to Lost Spaces.